A very good morning and welcome to FYI. For your information, it's the 20th day of September already. Believe it or not, it's the 20th day of September, and we're hopeful that you guys are so much closer to your goals, your dreams, your aspirations than when you started the month. Because we're 20 days in, folks. We got a couple left before we head into October. You all see the place getting dark fast coming on to Christmas. It's fall, it's the beginning of fall where we are, folks. It's cold like that. It's cold like that. I understand what the good book says. He has fixed the bounds of your habitation. Fix it. Fix it. Yep. Good to have each and every one of you on the live this morning. Dolly Anderson joining us. Isabella Butchers is here as well. Mr. John Jones is here too. And I see Beatrice Selby, not to be left out. Donette Harding is here too. Donette Harding George. Donette was spotted. She's gone off. Barbara Barrington and Sabrina. I see Jacobs and all the other folks joining us this morning, like Paula Mattis, Ayabo Natasha. It's been a little bit. Honestly, I haven't been watching us. It's been a little bit since I've seen your name pop up there, Ayabo. But good to have you on the live this morning. Lynn Fernandez is here too, and Michaela Andrew Coates. Good to have you on the live. Debbie Hohenkirk is here too, and Sion Rodney and Suchan Sudhari and Edward Brooms. Edward Gonzalez, where are you from the Bronx? Keith Beresford is here too. Too Sweet GT. Who is this person now? Too Sweet GT. Good to have you on the live. Deborah Pearson. Good to have you too. Donna Joseph and Erwin Don Cook. All the other folks joining us this morning. Share the live as you come on. Hundreds of you already jumped on. Good to have each and every one of you from the many, many places you guys are joining us from. No doubt we're going to do just what we are asking you guys to do. We're going to make sure that we are shared to all the right places as well. Smash that emoji button for us, good folks. And we all know, unfortunately, we don't run on water. Unfortunately. So we're going to indulge you guys. Partner with us too, Donna Joseph. We see you there, Erwin Don Cook. Lola Greenwich, we see you as well as we continue to bring you guys valid, credible information. We're almost 3 years out, folks. Out here, we ain't looking too bad. We got a turtle flesh. We ain't taking too much of Nigeria and so on. We ain't looking too bad. 3 years in. Lola Greenwich, we see you there. Urban Don, Donna Joseph. Good to have you. Paulette Greaves on the live as well. All our favorite people joined us this morning. Do let us know if you're hearing us clearly, you're seeing us clearly. We don't want to get halfway and then we realize you're hearing us too clear. You only want to say nothing and we look a little blurry or whatever. But good to see each and every one of you there, folks, this morning on the live. Good to have you. Again, Ayabo. Ayabo say, looking good for you. Me never was Mish talking to something. I can watch it too strong. Ayabo and Loretta and Debbie Collins. Karen Muhammad is here too. Good morning, Karen. Good morning. Good to see you. Ayabo says she's hearing us loud and seeing us clearly. Thanks very much, Ayabo. Ralston Campbell is here. Morning, Ralston. Good to see you. Royston Campbell. I see Joanna is here. Joanna Green. Savannah Page says loud and clear. All the technicians showed up for work this morning. All the technicians have showed up for work this morning. Leon Logan is here. Orwin Don says loud and clear as well. And John M.G. Wilson is here too. He said, bless up, Mr. Duncan. You see when people use the initials like that? It's money people, John M.G. Wilson's money people. Just like that. So remember, good folks, all of you who don't know, partner with us. Especially the money people on the live this morning. Partner with us. Aubrey Stevens, we see you as well. And Debbie and Leon and Anton. Anton, how are you doing? Anton Nichols. Folks, 300 of you have already joined us live. And thankfully, we're just a couple minutes in. Them boys came in for a good 20 and some other shows in the morning. Some other shows in the morning. Some of y'all might put NCN in the comment, but I'm not going to say it's NCN particularly I'm speaking about. You might put it in the comment, I might think it, but I'd never say it's NCN. Folks, we had some of the budget that they have for their morning programs, the things we could do, the miracles we could work. You see, but we're coming to come. We're coming to come and we're building incrementally, and that's the best kind of building. Daphne Aaron, we see you. We see you there, Daphne. Pam Halls, we see you as well. I seen Kosha, we see you as well. Fidel Albert, you're on the live this morning. Pam Halls, yeah. Elizabeth Narayan on the live too, live and direct. You know, she ringside this morning. Where is Margaret Nelson? We miss Margaret. I know she might be listening quietly in the background, as people are want to do on many occasions. Paulette Greaves says it's bright and clear in Washington. Paulette, I've seen a couple of days, girl. Do you have a shoulder in my face? I haven't seen a couple of days in that same bright and clear Washington, Paulette. We'll see you in a couple of days. Claire Gemont, we see you as well. And Daphne and Too Sweet GT. we see you as well. Wayne Brown, how are you doing, Wayne? How are you doing? Folks, we got a lot to get through this morning. And we have a guest popping by to help us to wade through some of the issues. We're going to show you who's them boys this morning. Naomi Campbell, we're going to show you who's them boys. Good morning to you, Naomi. Camille Cox, we see you there. Camille, we can show you too. Who is them boys? You know, so that you know how to approach them with absolute caution. We'll show you how to approach them. Yep, Kyle Bino is here and Sept. Paulette Greaves. Yep. Paulette says, show you want to see me. Paulette, we can check what we can get. Right? We can check what we can get and we can wait for the rest. Wayne Brown, we see you there. Colin Reese, we see you as well. Marlon Lorma. Marlon, it's a couple of days well, I see you, man. What's happening? Marlon Lorma, it's a couple of days well. We didn't see you. We haven't heard from you. The money you owe me? Forget it. I want to see you more often. We can write off. I want to see you more often, Marlon. We want to see you more often. Yep. Camille Cox says the RDC activity is hot. This is Region 6, folks. The RDC activity is hot there in Region 6. Yep, a lot's happening on the ground there. We've been following Lester Farm. We see you there as well. And Edward, Brooms, and Lennox, and all the other folks who are joining us. Folks, as you come on, smash that emoji button. We got hundreds of folks watching us, but it doesn't seem to be too reflective. You know, we don't seem to be too reflective in the emojis that we're seeing. Hundreds of you on the live this morning. Get a work for do. You know, they come in to see who liked the program. They must wait through hundreds of names. You know, they like that. They're petty like that. They always want to know how much people watching the live and how much people commenting and this and that. And then they say, oh, yes, you have a bad program. You see, you all don't just start with everybody else. They don't talk with me and my programs. That's how you know you're out front. They frighten our numbers badly. They frighten our numbers. And anybody come in the comment section and contrary, they're getting beat up in the comment section. Right? Y'all don't leave them unscathed. Please, in the comment section, y'all fix them. Isabella Butters, I done share. Oh. Y'all be like Isabella the man. Please, be like Isabella Butters. Right? I see Henry Rodney asking, how is Tabitha? I will find out this very morning. How is Tabitha? I would find out this very morning. I wonder who downstairs watching us can maybe pass my phone. I wonder who downstairs watching. I'd find out this very morning. How is Tabitha doing? But I have another guest who's going to be dropping by and helping us to wade through some of these issues. There's a lot, folks. There's a lot of issues to get through this morning. You know, I'm giving them the cues, but like they didn't hear me. I wish I had somebody downstairs to pass my phone for me. Stacy Paddy and the other folks. Donna Allen, you're here, and Sheena Hazel. Folks, it's a wonderful morning where we are. It's cold, right? It's just the foray. It's not a real thing. Into is it? Are we in the new season? Is autumn? Fall? Are we in fall? Are we in fall? Yes. I'm being advised by the weather specialist. They said we are in fall, folks. Well, I'm just happy to be heading home in a couple of days and leaving this cold behind. You see, leaving it for y'all who have acclimatized to it. Better prepared for it, right? Better prepared for it. I always say it's autumn. Is autumn in Brooklyn? Is autumn by your side? No. Ayabo's far up north. Ayabo's far up north, right? Far up north. I think it's Europe side. Ayabo, please bring up this stretch where you live this autumn. Sandra Jones, we see you. Yes, Sandra said fall starts on Saturday officially. Thank you, Sandra. All right, it done Saturday. That's what the folks say. It is kind of cool. That's creepy. I leave it for y'all. You know, y'all make y'all big money and send us in the warmer climate. Yes, Ayabo says she's in UK. She's in Europe. Further up, further up. Ayabo's in the UK. Making she pounds and so on. He's ready to keep the king. Yeah, yeah. Glenford, Horace, Jennifer, Des, Emmanuel. Good to see all of you folks on the live. Let's get to where we need to be this morning. But before we get there, let us let you know, get some of the other stuff out of the way. If you guys are heading into the city, you're heading to conduct your business, such and so forth, we want to recommend the Alistair Collins firm. These guys are the go-to folks. If you need a justice of the peace, if you need a commission of votes to affidavit, these guys are your go-to folks. They right down near the Callion Mall on Lamaha Street between Camp and Waterloo. They're closer to Waterloo than they are to Camp. The Callion. When you go in there and you ask for this firm, they'll point you right to the ground floor. You know, so if you got the old knees and so on, you're gonna climb no steps. They're right on the ground floor. You see, they think about that. They also operate on Saturdays, which is part of why I like them. They operate on Saturdays, folks. 649-6410, 685-6448. They can give you the fixer-upper. Please and thank you. They're experts at your documentation. Please and thank you. You need a good justice of the peace, a good commission of votes to affidavits. Check them out. Check them out, good folks. Occur, check them out. That being said, folks, good to have all of you folks on the live. As I've said, welcome, welcome, welcome. We got a couple issues to get through this morning, folks. We got a couple things to get through, and I wanna start very, very early. There's a lot happening. It's plenty. You gonna want to pull up a cup of something with us this morning. We got this coffee is cold by now, because as I said, it's fall. You know, it's cold. It's cold by now, folks. Right? But we can try with it. We are gonna try this. We got a lot to wade through this morning that we're following. You know, it's one thing to the next. It's one thing to the next, and that's why I want my guests from the start, because we're wasting no time this morning. Good to see Shauna on the live, Shauna Fortune. Dorrit David is here too. Dorrit hails from Barca. Good to have you, Dorrit, and Ras Ricardo on the live as well. I see Donald Joseph is here too, and Orvin Johnson, my cup already empty. You see, when dealing with some people, that's what happened. Orvin said her cup is already empty. Yep, I'm almost there. Mala Pandey joining us from Carmichael Street is in the house. Please and thank you, all dressed back. Mala is here. She has arrived. Elizabeth Howard is here too. Mala says, pace and power. That's how we like to do it, Mala. That's how we like to do it in those gears. Kurt Heineken is here. Royston Campbell is here. Claire Jamont is here. A lot of other folks here with us this morning. Folks, first up, we're following a lot of things in the morning papers. Yeah. The folks are advising us here that Claire is a fantastic nurse who works in UK too. Anisha Pugson, she's not quiet on the live. Them kind of people you're dealing with. Quite clear on the live. Folks, if my guest is ready, I want to have him on because he is going to help us to wade through some of these issues. He's no stranger to us. He's a man who likes to unpack. You see? He like the packing. He like to unpack. Folks, without any further ado, I want to welcome a brother from another mother, the one and only Randy Critchlow. Randy, how are you doing this morning? Please engage the mic for us. Thanks very much. Or let me help you from my end. Yeah. Right ahead.
Morning, and good morning to all your guests. How are you doing this morning?
Well, we're trying on this side of the Atlantic. You know, it's cold here. And so we said, Father, how come me here? In the words of that old Negro spiritual, how come me here? But we fast and run out, so we got a beer for another couple of days.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're eagerly anticipating your return. Not to worry.
Amen. I know you've been holding down the fort there, and I'm grateful for that. Folks, we're joined by the one and only Randolph Critchlow, a councillor from Region 4, Regional Democratic Council, among many other hats that he wears. He's a man very, very interested in sports in our country and to see sports go well. A politician as as well. And many other hats. I don't want to go into all of it, man. Many other hats that he wears. I want to say hello to Wilma Morrison joining us from St. Kitts and Nevis. Yep. Welcome, Wilma. It's people like y'all, it's making bad for we. Because we have to say now that we have an international morning program because people join me from all over the world. I have from the UK, Claire from the UK, you now from St. Kitts and Nevis. It's people like y'all. Randy, we got a lot of issues to get through this morning. A
Yes,
lot of
yes.
very serious issues. And what I know, the first one up, folks, is a lot we're dealing with on the home front. And if y'all don't share the light this morning, y'all wicked. Y'all wicked like them. Now, I know this is a friend of yours, Randy, and I hate to speak ill of people, but this man here should not hold a portfolio that he's holding. This is a man always by a ground, always got a camera by a ground. He walking, on the grass, he's stooping down, he bowing down. And some of the reports this morning out of the CPL and some other sporting activities happening where you are, Randy, in the 592, some of the reporting leaves much to be desired. If I was Charles this morning, I'd just go and hand in my resignation. Perhaps he's good at something else. Something, maybe law or something. Something else he's good at. But this Minister of Sports thing,
So, it's no secret. I don't think it's any secret that this particular individual didn't want this portfolio in the first place. I think everybody understood very clearly that it seems as though he was given this position as a punishment.
To him or the rest of us? Him or the rest of us?
It seems as though, it is a punishment for us also. But I mean, I know we'll get into the details, but the general sense is that this particular minister is more concerned with the show, with the pictures, with the Facebook posts, because there are a number of serious issues plaguing our sport and our sporting landscape that are not being dealt with, and you, of course, as usual with this government, we see a plastering of posts and a whitewashing of things that are happening under the surface. And it is that reluctance to deal with the issues that are really affecting us and just whitewashing it and glossing it over that is causing all the problems going down the road, right? And
Correct is right.
It is quite interesting to watch this play out.
Correct is right. And it's been a lot of problems. Folks, there are a huge scandal happening currently where sporting is concerning in our country. As you folks would know or should know, or maybe do not know, but we'll tell you this morning, CPL, the finals is being played in Guyana. And folks, the comments about the preparation for these finals have been scathing. And I want to reflect on a few of them this morning. And this is not out of the, what is the newspapers where you are, Randy, in the PNCR? It is not the...
It's not
New Nation. It's not the key from the AFC. This is credible sources, other credible sources. This morning's editorial in Sept News is a must-read. And they've captured it in a way only Guyanese can. A lick and a promise. Now, when you hear that phrase, it's a lick and a promise, you know the whole book already. You know the whole book. And that is what Sept News is saying about the preparation to host the CPL games. Was a lick and a promise. In its editorial this morning, it says, the state of the National Stadium has not escaped the eyes or the fingers of the attendees at the Republic Bank CPL matches over the last week. They have taken to social media platforms to lay bare their thoughts and feelings on the washrooms and the quick fixes on various infrastructures around the stadium. Randy, this thing didn't happen to me overnight. We didn't wake up the morning before and realize we're hosting the CPL, with a viewership of over 500 million around the world. Or did we? Randy?
Sherry, we knew that we were hosting this thing a year ago, 2 years ago, And so I think the title of the editorial is quite up, right?
A lick and a promise.
Yep, yep, yep.
A lick and a promise. Well, folks, as Sabbath News said, took to social media the day before the games were scheduled to be played. Sabbath News reports in this editorial this morning, Ramsey was seen as per normal, a camera in his face, and he had the
Yes.
drums there. He came live from a washroom at the stadium. Jesus Lord. Live from a washroom. You know, your friend is wake up saying he was in a washroom live, Ramson, and was heard instructing staff, fix this bike tonight because the game is tomorrow. Fix this bike tonight. You see, they like this kind of pomposity, instructing the night before the game. Fix this the day before the game. Fix this bike tonight. And hence Sabbath News is talking about these quick fixes.
Gloss over.
Yep, they glossed over some of it. In addition to that, folks, hold on. In addition to what transpired by the stadium, the Lady Jags.
Wow.
The Lady Jags, you know the Golden Jags, the female team, the Lady Jags, they had a match at Lenora, that other stadium over there, against the Bahamians. Folks, sweet Jesus, it's 3 years we in. Who they can blame? All of them millions we are appropriating for sports through the National Assembly, through the national budget from Island Gas. We give it to sports. Who they can blame now? Randy, hear what Sabbath News said about what transpired there, Charles Ramson, in this same editorial this morning. Don't take our words for it. It's not the New Nation, it's not the key. I know what the WPA got for their magazine. I can't remember the name of it. Sabbath News says a lick and a promise. The national coach says the pitch at Lenora, right? He compared it as a horrible pitch. His words, according to Sabbath News, horrible to the beautiful one that Guyana just played on in Antigua.
Wow.
Right? Of all places where there is hardly any rainfall, in Antigua, Shabazz, this is the coach, compared Lenora to the beautiful pitch. It was so bad, horrible pitch. That's how we described the one at Lenora. And lamented, this is Shabazz, lamented, Jamal Shabazz, lamented that he could only dream of a day when Guyana would have a proper surface to play on. Shabazz went on as far as to suggest that we should play our home games away from this totally unacceptable state of affairs until it can be rectified.
Wow.
So you got one horror, and Sabbath News said this. While I want to quote what Sabbath News said, basically saying while one travesty was unfolding at Providence, this other horror show was happening at Lenora. Thanks to Charles Ramson. Randy, my God.
You know, Sharon, let's unpack here. Let's unpack.
Unpack it, Randy.
Let's unpack, because we need to put everything in context. And we need to start with this realization and understanding that we are living in an oil economy, right? We are living in a Guyana where we've had 3 years of this government spending our oil money, right? So let's just start with that. That's a framework. You're living in an economy where they don't miss an opportunity to jump on the stage and say it's the fastest growing economy, biggest budget,
high income,
investment, all of these things you're hearing. Every time you open up the newspapers, you're seeing another oil find. So there's no complaint.
And Randy, every budget is the biggest budget ever, bigger than the one before.
Right. And so we have the framework, right? The framework that there is money available. And so there should be no excuse. And now let's take it a little further. And I note the other day we were on a radio program, myself and MP Amanzo Walton this year. She noted that after the car ran into the fountain area, that the showpiece, right? it was repaired so fast, right? So quickly. They move with great alacrity to repair that. Whilst things like these are being left behind. Now, there is a National Sports Commission headed by it's Kashif, yes. You know, the friend, the National Sports Commission. The National Stadium has a body that is supposed to run it. The Providence, sorry, not the Providence, the Lenora Stadium has a staff, it has a manager. These people are supposed to be doing their jobs. Now, let's juxtapose that with the minister responsible for sports, right? Running about, taking out pictures, and our national football players, female team, have to go on play on a pitch that the coach would suggest, look, it's best we matches somewhere else. Imagine that. Imagine that. So when you take everything in totality, it is unacceptable that is happening. Because first we start with the fact that we have money. If we have money, then what is the excuse? It is just incompetence. It is just the fact that they do not care. It's just the fact that all they're playing for is, you know, the publicity game. And the reality of this, Sharon, is that if you do not do your job, then the bad publicity comes back to bite you. So if you're going to run around and just take pictures and pretend like if we're doing something and whitewash everything, eventually things like these happen. Because the actual work on the ground, pun intended, the actual work on the ground is not being done, right? If it is that this minister sat down and said, listen, we have the cricket carnival coming, you know, this is our showpiece thing. One Guyana cricket carnival, one Guyana consort this. We are going to be scrutinized to the T. Let us ensure that the groundwork is done, right? Let us ensure that when the international players come in to play our team, that we put them to play on a facility that is world class. Because you know what? Going back to where I started, we have the money. So I don't know if anybody out there could probably give us an answer, but all I put it down to, Sharon, is incompetence. It is lack of care. It is the fact that they in the person at the top, because at the end of the day, as far as I'm concerned, the buck stops with the minister. The buck stops with the minister.
Correct,
If he
correct, Andy.
had the interest of sport and our sport, men and women at heart, these things would have never happened. These things, because he would have called on the resources. He would have called on the resources available to say, hey, let us not embarrass ourselves again. And I say again because it's been happening over and over. But you have to have situations like this where we are embarrassed daily because the powers that be are more concerned with the Facebook posts. And that's the reality of what we have in Guyana. That is the reality.
Yeah,
There's
so
no excuse.
while we see Charles Ramson on a daily basis, he had some ground walking around, looking around, stooping down, bending over backwards, bending over forwards. In all of these positions to get a photograph, the Providence ground are working. The one at Lenora is not working.
Nope.
And as Cabot News pointed out for us, a number of persons took to social media.
Yes.
Moen Gafour was one. Randy walked us through some of what Moen Gafour may have said in his post. This is not Apno AFC. We even know the man has a political affiliation. The man went in the game and he vexed. He went in the stadium and he vexed. And he took to social media.
And Sharon, the things that he outlined are basic things. Basic things that if you are serious about what you are doing, if you are serious about your role as a minister, then you would ensure that these things are taken care of. The man spoke about coming into the stadium, the car passes, right? The area that you had to park your vehicle was just loom, right? Then he went on, he said there is no running water in the red stand, the men's room. Same thing you were outlining just now, right? Water leaking from the stands into the ground floor,
The man
right?
said you hope it was water that was leaking. You hope.
Sharon, these are basic things that we continue to embarrass ourselves with, right? Marcy had to walk through what seemed like a natural disaster area, completely flooded, right? He assumed it was melting ice, right? And a number of other issues. I think there's more to what he posted there, right? But these are the issues that the people that going to the stadium are facing. Again, Sharon, I mean, persons will go and look at this, right? They will see the person's name and they can read it out. But what I want to impress upon us is that these things ought not to happen. It ought not to happen because we are in a position where we can afford for this. And I want to bring something into the fore. You may notice that a number of the CPL teams are named after IPL teams, right? And this is something that people do not realize. Those teams have been sold to IPL teams. The Knight Riders, Trinbago Knight Riders. It wasn't the Knight Riders before. They've been bought by the Knight Riders from CPL, the Kings, a number of the teams. The reality of what is happening here, and this even more so, the Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport and this government should ensure that the facilities and the things available at the national stadiums are number one, because the reality is that Guyana is the only team that is still owned by the country. And so what we have is a CPL, and the reality and the reason for this is
But
that
Randy, might as well we just sell it out and let the people manage the thing privately, because we aren't doing that good of a job based on what Sabbath News talked about this morning, a lick and a promise, based on what Moen Gafour said on social media, along with thousands of Guyanese. Here is an event attracting a viewership of, we said, over half a billion worldwide.
Yes.
Get on the world stage. What other opportunity do you have, to show how you govern, to show what you can do? And again and again and again, we keep coming up short.
Yeah.
Randy. So you got the madness that happened at Providence. Total chaos and confusion powder. Nonsense happening at Lenora. And you know what? As the good book says, when all these things happen, it's not the end, That's what the good book says. It's the beginning of the end. You see? It's the
in
beginning.
addition to that, recently there was an article that from the Athletics Association saying that the nationals, trials couldn't be held because there was no available ground. Right? The Lenora Stadium wasn't available. The police ground wasn't available. The Aingana ground wasn't available. And those were the three proper 400 grounds that you could hold your athletics at, your nationals, for your national athletes to try and see if they get their time so they can make time for these international meets. Of course, the Providence Stadium, right? The touted Providence Stadium that was built under the SPBP government, who I keep saying lack foresight. It cannot hold a 400 ground in there. And when it was being built, we highlighted this problem. That if you're going to build a national stadium, it should be multi-purpose. We should be able to hold our national athletics. Yes, no, but you know what? We had to go to Lenora next to where the Minister of Housing living to put the 400 track over there. But we have a national stadium that cannot be used for international meets because you can't put a 400 track in there. Imagine that. And so we had a situation where the athletes had nowhere. They had nowhere to hold their meet to see if they can qualify for these make these international times. And this again is clear failing. clear feeling on a lack of foresight and any sort of strategy when it comes to the development of sports in Guyana. Chair, I would ask a question,
Yeah.
and it's a two-part question. What has happened with the national sports policy, right? Where is
It's
the
on full
national sports
display,
policy?
Randy. It's on full. You're watching the policy on full display because as you talk about that, Randy,
Mm,
that's not the end, you know.
mm,
I like what the good book says. It's the beginning of sorrows
mm.
because the Guyana Football Federation ran out this morning, and not for good reason. The Guyana Football Federation has
Oh my
been
word.
fined by CONCACAF, and I'll tell you why. You ask why Pamela Dover, Van Classic, Rafael Glasgow. I'm happy you asked. I will tell you why. Folks, Mr. Ford of the Guyana Football Federation, Wayne Ford, you think it's one thing happening in this country? It's the beginning of sorrows. Look at you. Look at the sports policy on display. Right? The Lady Jacks again has this match against Dominica, a qualifier, right? And it will be played
In
in
Barbados.
Barbados.
Yep.
Why, you may ask? Why? Why? Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. CONCACAF said this is going to win. Ford. When they visited the venue 2 days prior to the Bahamas game and inspected the turf, they immediately informed us that the venue, but more so the surface, was not suitable for this level of international game in Guyana.
Wow.
And that the game would not be played there. After they informed us, we relate to them, this is the GFF. We relate to them that that there were no other suitable venues in Guyana. This is the GFF saying all these venues managed by the PPP, billions being spent, Ramson spending billions on photographs as well of himself being taken out of these venues, were not suitable. And this was the only facility that we have access to. This is the one I think somewhere over the river, Massey, Lenora again. But they still wanted, hold on, they still wanted to inspect. Where folks said, he told them, this is the only venue we got. But CONCACAF said, CONCACAF, folks, this is the Confederation of North Central America and Caribbean Associations of Football. Right? They said, not so fast. We want to see the rest. Folks, this is national sports policy on full display. CONCACAF said, we want to see the rest to inspect them. Hold on. Wayne Ford says, according to Stabrook News, right? Campaign Ghana, Ivlery, the National Training Center locations were subsequently inspected by the regional officials of CONCACAF, but were ruled out. Hold on, Randy, hold on, Rick. Especially the Providence facility, which is currently a hive of construction activity, which would have impeded the ongoing work of the contractors doing the promise. You see, the only other alternative was to abandon the game, right? That would have hurt Guyana and wasted significant resources. This is what Ford said. And so the late decision was to have this match now move out of country. You see, he revealed, this is Wayne Ford, that the GFF was subsequently fined $5,000 for the quality of the playing surface at Lenora, despite them not being in control of the facility. Yep.
Yeah. That there, what you just described is to put it in your term, confusion powder. Confusion powder. Again, comes back to the reality that we have a minister in place that is not even a square peg in a round hole. It's a square peg in a square peg. It can't fit. You know, after a while, square peg, if you push it enough, it can fit in the round hole. But it cannot work because there is no strategic approach to developing sports in Guyana. And when I say this, Sharon, I am I'm speaking not only about putting money into something, but outlining how these organizations and federations work with each other. And what you mentioned there at the end is quite instructive, that the GFF got no control over this facility, right? There is a situation where the GFF basically at the mercies of whoever running that facility. They're being fined for that facility because there is no, again, strategic and structural approach to ensuring, hey, these things must work properly. How is it that we're supporting the GFF to ensure that the GFF has access to a facility that our players can host international meets? It isn't happening because there is no thought being put into that. There is no thought. You know, Sharon, what is interesting is that if it is that Kashif is at the National Sports Commission, he's the chairman of the National Sports Commission. This is a man who has spent his entire life in football. This is a man who has made his money from football. You would think that these are the people who know how to manage these things, but they can't seem to manage their way out of a paper bag at the moment. Because
Randy, you hit the nail on the head. You gave the answer to the problem right there. Is that the only focus on making money,
right,
maintaining facilities, and internationalizing these facilities and so on. It's not the aim. It's what you need for us. Once you get something, people sit down. You see, that is the aim. It's not how the athletes are treated. It's not the quality of experience for the patrons and all of those lofty things. It's how much we can make for ourselves. You see, how much kickbacks we can make. Why is Cliff Anderson Sports Hall not a consideration for some games? When construction, reconstruction, rehabilitation started since the year start, they come back and ask for $90 million more on top of what they already had. Because this is happening in sports in this country.
It's a big scam.
To sanction the minister with responsibility.
Yeah. I am convinced, sure, that Ramson is in over his head. You know what is interesting? If we are to assume...
Randy, hold on. Let me add there. Because I know you all want to say it.
Yeah.
He is focused on the wrong things. He is focused on who in a play on the cultural center stage that had some criticism for him or his wife. He is focused on the wrong things. Let me say it for you.
Well, you hit the nail on the head there. But, you know, what is interesting, Sharon, is if I'm to go back to where I started, where it is publicly known that this man didn't want this position. Let me go in, let me dig in a little bit. And he was eyeing another position, maybe natural resources or something like that. If he had to use his tenure as Minister of Culture, Youth and Sports as an audition to say, look, I can manage. How can the powers that be in the BVP say, hey, Ramson, I think you did well here. Hold a quote unquote bigger portfolio. How? If you can manage some grounds and some cultural events, right? If you can't do that properly, because I don't know what else to say. Every year we hear the budgetary allocations for sport, and you see a release, an obligatory release coming out from the NSC saying, yes, this money will help to improve and develop sports in Guyana. Where? 3 years of oil money. Where? And we have the Athletics Association suffering because they can't hold their meets anywhere. The Football Federation paying money because they can't, the services are terrible. Guyana having to host their home game in another country, right? They come me monthly, come invite you, let me bring some black belly sheep and goat and thing, and let we have a nice time and talk about how Guyana really developing. and let the president go on stage and dance up. But at the surface, facilities are not being maintained. There is no coordination between these agencies. There is no sort of development plan. And this is not even the national sports policy, but generally, what is it? What is the direction you want to take our sports in? I often say, Sher, that you don't need to reinvent the wheel when it comes to sports. There is a country right next to us in the Caribbean that has shown us over the years how it should be done. All we need to do is to figure out what in the world Jamaica is doing. Let us go look at the framework, look at the policies, look at the steps they have taken since 1976. And let us start to implement some of those things here. But you know what? We're too big for that. We're too big for that.
And I'm certain, Randy, when you survey that framework, one of the things you will see is proper functioning facilities for the athletes to play and to practice and to play.
It's a holistic approach.
One of them, you'll see that.
Coordination with agencies, a proper guiding policy that allows for investment from corporate, right? And so you have a holistic approach to developing sport. It's not a piecemeal thing, because this government is a piecemeal government. And Ramson is in the same vein. You jump up, oh, we start a football academy. Where is football academy really going on the turf that the people can't play on?
And Randy, if this was the only scandal we were facing this morning, they might want fight this Ramson alone. But you got other scandals that we're dealing with in the national headlines today. And the folks watching us, if you all didn't share the live yet, you're wicked. You like them, right?
Sure, before you move from sport, though,
go ahead.
I want to bring to the attention of the public something that is going to rear its head again, because we are in a season of school sports, right? And there is a problem that has occurred number of years, and again, there's no coordination between the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport, the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development, to ensure that our school grounds are in any shape or form to facilitate these things. These schools have to be running and try and book a few. There are like 4 or 5 facilities in Georgetown that can actually hold school sports. And so you have, dozens of schools running. It's a logistical nightmare, right? And so I am saying, as a government, as a Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport and the Ministry of Education, we have a responsibility to our student athletes to ensure that at least they can hold the inter-house sports at their facility that they have at their schools. And there is no, let me point this out, there is no coordination between these ministries. Ministry of Education tell you that they don't take care of school grounds. Culture, Youth and Sport, the 2 ministers don't talk with one another. Right? I know they like one another, but there's no coordination, no effort to ensure that, hey, what is happening with our student athletes, our school sports? And so that's left up in the air. And I wanted to bring that to the attention of the people, because when you walk around Georgetown, you see these schools and you see these grounds, and it's best to give them some paintball and then do jungle training in them. That's what it is. And so that is another key issue where we've seen the failings of these people that they put in position as ministers. I just needed to point that out.
Correct is right, Randy. And if you're not taking care of those things at the national level, you have a CPL international games that are being played on home turf, and you're not taking care of that. I'm thinking you'll be taking care of the school grounds where CONCACAF don't have to inspect and CPL officials won't have to inspect and so on. I don't think you can be taking time with that, right? Yeah. I don't think so. So while we're on that front, folks, there are other things we're dealing with too. We got other scandals we're dealing with too. Because why? It's the PPP. You got the Exxon Audit scandal, Randy, on every front. in this regime. Folks, if you ain't share the life yet, you're wicked. You stink and you're dirty, just like them. Randy. So it's not only Ramson that should be heading home. Both Barretts should be heading home. Vikram Bharat and Bharat Jagdiyo should be heading home. And here is why. You had what is called the IMS market audit of some spending that was incurred by Exxon Mobil, its partner Hess and Canuck during the period 1999 to 2017. That report was given to PPP government 2 years ago, in which 214 million US dollars were overstated as expenditure.
Yeah.
214 million, Brandy, was overstated. The pundits, the commentators, the specialists, when they reviewed it, Guyana had a good case of saying to Exxon, you didn't prove how you spend this money, you owe us.
Yeah.
240 million. Somebody in Vikram Bharat ministry, some department decided they were going to meet with Exxon, and suddenly this figure in one case, Bharat said come down from 214 to 30 million US.
Yes.
And Vikram said come down from 214 to 3 million US. And then all of them, Vikram said this department in his ministry had no right to be engaging with Exxon. That fell to GRA.
Yep.
That's what Vikram said. And Bharat Jagdiyo, the other Bharat, seemed to agree with him. I don't know if it's a thing when you name Bharat like his little, well, not little, yes, mischievous plenty. When you got a name Bharat, Vikram Bharat, Bharat Jagdiyo, both of them said the figure suddenly reduced from 214 million US to 3 in one instance and about 13 in the instance of Bharat Jagdiyo. Now, GRA for their part said they had no objection to this 214 million, right? In saying that the money was indeed overstated at 214. They had no objection.
Yeah.
Vikram Bharat, Bharat Jagdiyo, they bring down the money. They bring down the costs. But both of them, interestingly enough, said that it was GRA that had the final authority, or the only authority rather, to audit these spending, right?
Yeah.
These were the only ones who had the authority. Well, folks, this morning, Christopher Ram run out. Christopher Ram run out. And in the words of Simone Brooms, philosopher Simone Brooms, he somersault in the chest. Christopher Ram somersault in the chest this morning. Because Christopher Ram said, Bharat, both of them got to go back to school. Both of them got to go back to school.
Wow.
Because had they read the production sharing agreement of 2016, they would understand. In Sept News this morning, lawyer and accountant Christopher Ram says, the GRA is not the competent authority to lead all or any petroleum audit. If that was the case, why is IHS Market, this is the company that did the auditing for 1999 to 2017, why are they doing the audit in the first place and not the GRA? What we are signaling is an avaricious, rather signaling to avaricious SO, is that it can challenge not only the audit findings by the IHS, right, its competence in the contractual sense, right, to undertake the audit in the first place. Because if only GRA can do the audit, then they don't have to stand by what the IHS market did. But more than that, Christopher Ram goes on to state that it is in fact based on the PSA the production sharing agreement between the government of Guyana and the ExxonMobil company. It is the minister who has the authority. And here is Ram quoting from the act, right? Ram says, it is noted in the 2016 agreement, it grants the minister the right to audit upon 90 days notice the accounts, the records of the consortium. This is ExxonMobil. Ram says it is entirely the minister's discretion and decision who he appoints. Although according to the Constitution and the Audit Act, the Auditor General should be the first option, right? Capacity permitting that the Auditor General has the capacity. The
Wow.
minister should appoint the Auditor General to audit, but it is solely in the minister's discretion. And here is Ram taking them to school because remember, both of them are saying it's the GRA.
GRA, yes,
It's the GRA. And that they don't know why in their own ministry, in Vikram's own ministry, this secret special department has been in contact with ExxonMobil and bring down this to 14 million US to 3 million. So therein is this scandal. Bharat Jagyo said he don't know what happening. Vikram said he don't know what happening in a sector that they're supervising, in a sector that they're controlling.
Yeah.
So if they didn't set this other team in Vikram Bharat ministry to work, who set it to work? Randy?
Right.
Who set
And
it to work?
who are they reporting to?
Precisely.
You know, who are they reporting to? You know, you after unpacking all of that, you know, after unpacking all of that, I'm sure that our viewers are wondering what is really happening. What is really happening? Who are these people reporting to? It seems as though, you know, you have Raman McCray, you know, the auditing the accountant, the accounting firm. Well, you have a Barrett and Barrett. That's what you have. The accounting firm of Barrett and Barrett.
Correct.
And they who are now claiming that they don't know what is happening, you know, how is it that you can come and tell the nation that? You know, and I want to go back. I mean, it's a lot to unpack. It's a whole tangled web. But at the base of it is the fact that this government likes to remove oversight, you know, checks and balances.
Yeah.
And so
because they want absolute control.
Right. And so you have this as you said, this secret department that is doing these things. And of course, we know they're reporting to one of them. You got to be reporting to one of them.
Correct.
So they can't claim innocence now or ignorance now. The reality is that they are responsible for the sector. Now, two things. I heard, now I was following the proceedings in the PAC recently, when the GRA boss basically said, listen, we are understaffed. We don't have the capacity to audit what is going on out there with Exxon and you know, outside of this financial audit how much oil is actually coming out and whether Exxon is telling us the right thing. And so you have that, and now you have the Barrett and Barrett saying, well, GRA, you are supposed to do it. You are supposed to do this. I am a firm believer in external audits. I do not believe that the Ministry of Natural Resources should, well, even if you have an internal audit team, there should be an external audit that audits that audit. Because what happens is that when you work closely with people, relationships are built, you know, agreements are made internally. And so you have the potential, if it's not an external person, as you said, this agency that would have been doing the audit all the time, if it's not them, then you have the potential for corruption and thievery.
Correct.
And so you have Guyanese people asking now, well, what happened with the millions of US that the people owe we?
But that's a good question because, Randy, as we've been talking about what's happening with sports, you brought up the last issue there of what's happening with the school grounds.
Yes.
Imagine what that money could come to do. It's our money that we
Yes.
will now have to pay Exxon for bringing us up to production level with oil that they said
Yes.
they spent. But the IHS market report says it was overstated. So that
Yeah.
money is really our money that could be spent on those grounds. That could
Right.
be spent on bringing our sporting facilities up to international standard. That can be spent on roads and bridges. That can be spent on trying to give public servants better wages and salary. But if they're just in their teeth and out the money, what do we expect? And Randy, I want to put that against the backdrop of another issue I want to touch on before we wrap up this morning's program.
Yes.
Because the other issue that we have to focus on is this the mid-year financial report of the PPP that got scandals of its own, that got some scandals of its own, because the whole thing is not as nice and dandy as them boys would want us to believe. And as we're talking about auditor generals, let me look at what Anand Gulsharan. Let's unpack some of that in this
Mhm.
morning's Tabuk News.
Yeah.
Anand Gulsharan talks about that mid-year report, right? Non-oil GDP was 12.3% compared to 8.3. This is according to the report last year. Gulsharan says this is mainly as a result of the continued spin-off from oil and gas. So don't get excited. As
Yeah.
well as improved performance in other sectors of the economy. However, he says there was a decline in the production in gold, bauxite, diamond, manganese, and then he gives the respective percentages point. He also talks about the cost of living. That the same 214 million US can come as an injection to lowering, to bringing down easing the pressures faced by our people. In the mid-year report's assessment of the cost of living, especially as it pertains to the rate of inflation, Anand Gulsharan, former Auditor General, Dr. Anand Gulsharan says it does not appear to concur with the reality. Right? They're putting inflation at 3.8 forecast at the end of the year. Anand Gulsharan, who studied these issues, then bestow a PhD upon he
Mhm.
because they like he, because he studied the issues. He said this does not concur with reality because there have been persistent complaints about high food prices and the cost of living. So what
Yeah.
they're projecting as inflation, he said that is not reality. That
Mhm.
is not reality. So while in one hand, the thieving out everything, Guyanese are suffering. And as you rightfully said, this secret audit body in Bikram Bharat's Ministry of Natural Resources, reporting to one of them, right?
Mhm.
Nothing passes in this country without Jack you having a say. And you tell me they got a maverick team that has not been the subject of a police investigation. Nobody get locked up. Nobody passed through the courts. And every commentator has said what transpired in the ministry with that auditing behind the back of the GRA and the minister is illegal. But we hearing no court matter with that. So when they
Yeah.
come into kerfuffle, but Guyanese people are punishing while PVP and the boys getting the kickback from Exxon Mobil, thieving out money out of the treasury. We are left to bear the brunt of the high cost of living because of their ineptitude and their incompetence, Randy.
But the president and the PPP would want you to believe that everything nice in Guyana,
Yeah.
and nothing is going bad. Cheryl, I heard, well, I read an article recently where the president was on an international stage, talking about poverty alleviation and ending hunger. And I was curious. I went into the comment section, and the Guyanese people were very sharp. They were very on point. They were like, "You cannot be talking about ending hunger internationally. What is happening here in Guyana? What about helping the Guyanese people find food when the day come? Because we're hearing again about all this money. Money is being misappropriated. Secret audits. People saying they don't know billions of dollars. And the reality is, at the end of the day, it is not reaching the people. And so, you take this in context here, you look at somebody like Barrett and Barrett. Look at accounting firm of Barton, and you look at the fact that they seem to be living in this bubble, so they could come and tell you, oh, a couple 100 million missing, million US missing, and we don't know this. This person was supposed to take care of it. We know who do it. They ain't supposed to do it. And the guy, the average guy, is looking, thinking, one, we sat this morning, we went through all these issues in sport. Secondly, food prices sky high. We can't figure out how we finding food. All of the other things that are happening in this country. But the president would go on the international stage and make you believe that Guyana is a utopia. And that's the reality of what we have in this country right now. And I believe that our people, Sherrod, are about ready. And I think they're looking every day and they're realizing that this government doesn't care about them. They don't care about them. Whether it's sports, whether it's culture, whether it's education, whether it's health, they do not care about them. They care about handing out a few contracts to their friends, families, and favorites. This is why the sports all where it is right now. Somebody give this young lady a contract for provide glass.
She ran away with the money.
Right? And so
everybody
gotta get a bite to the money. Everybody gotta get a bite to the money. And so it's a money hungry, money grabbing sort of mentality that everybody pulling and tugging at the little purse that we get. And so the people, there's a I don't know if it's an African saying, but when lion and tiger fight, the grass feeling the squeeze. But what's happening right now is that the PPP, friends, families, and favorite, everybody fighting for a piece of the pie. And so the average person can't feel benefits.
Yep. And Randy, add to that, the Rose Hall, not Rose Hall, this is John's NDC, John's Port Morant NDC. Mm-hmm. They said the overseer, they got fictitious people, part-time workers, collecting money for fictitious people there. That's the allegation at that end there. Friends, family, and favorites.
Yeah. So that's the situation in the country. Look, the other day with the it's the NDC Region 6, I believe it is. Millions of dollars missing.
50 million. 50 million. And everybody people think that's the inside job. Right? How can the resources ever get to the people who really need it? How can the resources ever get to the infrastructure to develop them, to rehabilitate them that really needs it? Nothing stands forever. You build something, there's wear and tear. It might need rehabilitation. Over time, it might need a whole new building. Yeah. But how could we ever do that if they're just thieving out everything? Right? Not a cent has been recovered. Police were very quick to apprehend suspects and so on in the issue with the RNC in region 6 with the 50 million missing, but not a cent has been recovered to date.
Yeah. But I want to say, Sherrod, that the PPP's own approach to governance will be their downfall. If you govern in such a lax manner that allows corruption to run rampant, that you loosen regulations, you remove oversights and checks and balances because you want your people to be able to grab. Now I was having a conversation with one of the young PPP members, right? And quite interesting, and it might sound funny to people, but it is reality. And they asked, I said, during the APNUFC's tenure in government, public servants' salaries were raised significantly. Mm-hmm. The person said to me, we don't need to raise salary. We have raised corruption. So if you now have to figure out how to keep the little money because we have cleared the way for corruption. It was so hilarious to hear him say it. But when you look at what is happening, the removal of oversight, the loosening of regulations, and this insistence that look, it's a mentality where you gotta pass something make something happen, and everybody get a little contract. Hey, give me a little contract. Hey, that sort of mentality, I believe, will be the downfall of the PP because one, it does not allow for the pace of development that you are hoping for it to happen. Because at every juncture, somebody got to take a piece of the money. Let's just imagine that you have a road to do $50 million of this road. and then you give it to a contractor first of all that they know for build any road, so you got to subcontract it, and so you got a piece of the money for getting the project from the big buy friend and the PDP, right? Then the contractor now gotta figure out, hey, I gotta grease a few palms of these people at the engineers of the ministry, because you know what? I want to cut back on this road. It's supposed to be 4 inches. I'm gonna do 2 inches. The engineer gotta come and he gotta inspect it. So he gotta get a part of the money too. So at every juncture, the corruption is not allowing for the development that should happen.
Correct.
To happen. And so they will see at you know, in a few years' time, a lot of these big projects that they're touting, they'll be nowhere. And like you would have highlighted on many occasions, the projects that are being done at such a shoddy level that people are complaining, because if it was intended, as I said, to be 4 inches, it can be 2 inches because somebody got to take a piece of the money. And so in totality, as you know, I know we're wrapping up, whether it's sports, whether it's with the oil money, whether it's with the general corruption, we have seen the PPP, we know that, right? And this will continue to happen. They ain't gonna wake up tomorrow and change. They ain't gonna change.
Correct is right. Randy, I really want to thank you for coming on and so adding context to it. You know, if some of you are hurt by what was said, the truth hurts. The truth hurts. And in fact, that's why I didn't quote from New Nation. I didn't quote from the key. Right? Standard Sabbath News is middle of the road journalism. You know, sometimes you disagree with them, but for the most part, facts. Facts. And today's Sabbath News spitting facts. We're going to add greater context to some of these issues in our subsequent broadcasts, because you got a lot to unpack. To use Randy's phrase.
And you realize, Sherry, that we only touch the surface of what is happening in sport.
Yeah.
Correct. I mean, a lot more happening. A lot. Listen, here every single area in terms of sport is being neglected and left behind, right? But you know,
these
pictures gotta be taken.
Are here and they've laid it all bare, right? They've laid it all bare. The cosmetic approach will not work, right? You know, pretending that the grounds are nice because you went and took a photograph, you know, seemingly inspecting the pitch and and so on, will not work.
So you know this man, good man, you know.
Right? CONCACAF went around to the grounds and they approved none of them.
Right.
So what have we been doing? Wasting time, wasting resources. And that is why when we say bring in the professional people, left out your wife and so on, bring in the professional people, Charles, right? You get vexed and you want to be spiteful. But now, what are you going to do? Right? You're incompetent, but you'll be harbored by another set of incompetent bunch, because that's how y'all operate.
You know, I asked the other day, how is it that for example, somebody like Charles Ramson would have time to be so petty? And I realized that this is what he's focused on, the petty things.
That is why the state of affairs in sports are as they are. And this is as confirmed not by CONCACAF, by the CPL people, by the fans who visit the stadiums, by the people who engage the facilities and have reported rightly. Yes, all them is up to AFC because you get it no good reports. It is what it is. Right. It is what it is. Randy, thanks for joining us. I want to thank also Paula Phillips. Hold on, Randy, don't go yet. And leave a black here at the bottom there. Sean Sharm is here with us. Folks, before you go this morning, share the live, smash that emoji button, and we don't run on water. Unfortunately, we don't run on water. You know, it takes something to create all these graphics, to curate the content, to keep the lights on and the doors open. Beryl Crawford, we see you there. So partner with us as well. That's what I was going to say. Partner with us as well, folks. That's going to do it for our time. If you don't share this broadcast, you're wicked, because you want to hear the facts that we're spitting this morning. Brandy Anderson, we see you there. Jaiwan Bundari, Deborah, Glenn Ford, Royston, Ayabo, Rafik, Deborah Litch. We see you guys there as well. Thanks for joining us this morning, folks. That is going to do it for us at this end. Thanks again, Randy, for being part of our program this morning.
Thank you, man. No problem.